Before this video starts, I just want to remind you guys that Old School RuneScape is available for free on iOS and Android devices. Make sure you download it today and play it yourself. It's really fun. Going through the Members Gate for the first time was possibly one of the happiest moments I ever had playing RuneScape. It might not seem like a lot to you, but I spent the first 3 years of this game as a non-member, always seeing the exciting stuff that membership had to offer. Since becoming a member for the first time can be a little bit confusing, I decided to show you some early steps that you guys can do if you decide to become a member, whether you're an Iron Man account or even a regular player. One of the coolest things about becoming a member on RuneScape is the fact that you have access to 8 more skills, which include Agility, Construction, Farming, Fletching, Herblore, Hunter, Thieving, and Slayer. The entire game opens up to you. So the moment I walked through that gate, I immediately knew I had to start a specific quest. One called Fishing Contest. Going over White Wolf Mountain is possibly one of the scariest things you can do as a new player, given the fact that almost all the wolves attack you, depending on your combat level, and there's a giant level 70 wolf right at the top that could pretty much kill you if you try to walk by it. Luckily, I made it across safely, and I was pretty happy about it, so I did a little dance. Once you win the fishing contest, you just bring the dwarf back the trophy, and voila! You complete the quest. You get access to under White Wolf Mountain, so you can avoid all the deadly wolves, and you get a good chunk of fishing experience. After that, I decided to train the skill Thieving up to level 5, so I could have access to the Ardougne achievement diaries. The achievement diaries are little tasks you can do around specific areas that grant you rewards and extra bonuses. One of the main reasons I wanted to start off doing the Ardougne diary is because you unlock the Ardougne cloak, which can teleport you straight to Ardougne unlimited amount of times, so you don't have to walk there anymore. So the first thing you're going to want to do to complete the Ardougne achievement diary is steal a cake from a cake stall, restore your prayer points at the church, pull the wilderness lever and survive, because you don't want to lose your hardcore Iron Man status if you have that, check and see if you have any pets insured, have Tyndall fix a rusty sword for you, participate in the fishing trawler minigame, sell a piece of silk to the silk trader for 60 coins, enter the Ardougne training grounds, and see what Alec has available in his hunting shop. As soon as you finish all of the simple tasks, head on over to the bar and talk to 2 Pints. She'll gladly give you your Ardougne cape as well as an experience lamp that you can use on any skill above level 30. Another really neat feature in Old School RuneScape is something called treasure trails. If you just happen to be slaying some creatures and they drop this item called a clue scroll, you're about to go on an amazing treasure hunt. Each clue will lead you to another clue, that which could possibly lead you to another clue, which could happen to lead you to another clue, but once you get to the end of it, you are always given a reward. And hey, you never know what you can get. Look how much money I made on my first clue. Now that's a lot of money. Another great members quest to start out with is called Waterfall quest. It's pretty easy, but you have a huge risk of dying due to these moss giants you have to run by. They hit pretty hard, and they actually killed my first ever hardcore Iron Man that I ever made. Lucky for me though, I was able to survive this time. Once you complete the quest, you get a buttload of experience in strength and attack. It's really worth doing early on if you want to take the risk. I then unlocked the Herblore skill by doing the quest Druidic Ritual. It takes like 5 minutes. Once I finished that, I noticed that there was a little boy crying and I wanted to see what was wrong. Turns out he kicked his ball over a fence into the witch's house. Once I was able to sneak in, I got into the shed where the ball was being kept, and I had to fight a bunch of witches' experiments. Over and over and over again. But once I was able to retrieve the ball, I returned it to the little boy. I was rewarded with 6,000 hit points experience. That's a lot, man! Another skill to start training early on is Agility. Not only will you be able to run longer, but you'll be able to take shortcuts all around the world of Old School RuneScape. The first course you're going to want to do is the Gnome Agility course. Train that up to level 10, and then head to Draenor Village. Once you're there, you're going to experience one of the first player-implemented content, which is Rooftop Agility. Every now and again, you'll find these marks of grace on the floor. You're going to want to collect those as much as you can. You'll be able to buy an outfit called Graceful, which will drastically lower your weight and allow you to run for so much longer. I ended up training my agility to 25 and using the Rooftop Agility course in Al Kharin. Then I went right back to questing. I noticed that these gnomes were in a bit of a pickle. Their protection orbs were stolen by the Khazar Warriors, probably due to the fact that they're locked in a war right now. So I decided to help them out and infiltrated the Khazar fortress. I ended up having to fight one of the warlords, and jeez was it a hard battle. I could have just taken the easy way out and used magic or range to defeat him, but I decided to use melee and fight him one-on-one. And boy did that fight take a long time because I almost died a lot. But I ended up defeating him, getting the protection orbs, and returned them back to the gnomes. And they awarded me with a lot of experience, look at that! I'm telling you, quests are where the rewards are. My next goal was to get access to a town called Canafis. It's a pretty spooky place, so what I had to do was I had to rescue a monk that was captured by Zamorakians. Once I freed him and helped reset the barrier, he gave me permission to access the town of Canafis, and gave me a wolfbane dagger as well to protect me from werewolves. One of the biggest reasons I wanted access to Canafis is so I could do the quest Go Sahoy, which gives me something called an ectophile, which teleports me right back to Canafis whenever I want. It also got me to 30 prayer, so I could finally use that lamp I got from the Ardougne diaries. My current goal was to get my prayer level up, so the best way to do that was get to the quest called the Holy Grail. But before that, I had to free Merlin from his crystal. So I headed to Camelot and talked to King Arthur about the Merlin's Crystal quest. After a pretty lengthy adventure, I free Merlin from his crystal, talked to King Arthur, and was rewarded with Excalibur. I then headed on my way to start the Holy Grail quest. I ended up having to fight a Black Titan at level 120. He got in some solid hits on me, so I decided to try a different method of fighting him, by running back and forth so he couldn't hit me. And hey, it worked! Once I retrieved the Holy Grail, I brought it back to King Arthur and was rewarded with 11,000 prayer experience, as well as 15,000 defense. That's an insane amount! After you've done yourself a handful of quests, why don't you try heading over to the Varrock Museum? If you climb up the stairs and talk to the historian and let him know about the adventures that you've been on, he could give you some lamps, which have a good chunk of experience in them as well. I decided to put mine in prayer because, again, I'm trying to get as high prayer as I can. Then, whenever you're done with that, head on downstairs and talk to Orlando Smith. If you pass his quiz, he'll reward you with 1,000 Slayer and 1,000 Hunter experience. That'll get you to level 9 instantaneously. Great way to start off. The moment I finished that, I went right back to questing. I decided to head back to the gnomes and see if everything was okay. Unfortunately, it looks like their grand tree was dying, and I didn't know what was the cause. After discovering that it was one of their own that was poisoning the tree, I decided to confront them. Unfortunately, he decided to sick a demon on me. But lucky for me, I was able to safe spot the demon and take him out pretty easily, without the risk of death. Once the demon was taken care of, I went back to the king and he rewarded me with 18,000 attack experience, 7,000 agility, and 2,000 magic. That's pretty good if I do say so myself. One of the last quests I can recommend you guys to start out with is called the Lost Tribe, especially if you're a hardcore Iron Man. If you talk to Sigmund in Lumbridge Castle, he tells you that there's been a disturbance in the cellar, and he'd like you to investigate. Upon your investigation, you find out there's a cave goblin society that accidentally broke into the cellar. After you find out that it was just an accident and they're not really a threat, you report back to the Duke and find out that Sigmund framed the goblins himself, because he's part of a radical group called Humans Against Monsters and just hates goblins. So after all that's resolved, the Duke of Lumbridge and the leader of the cave goblins decided to sign a peace treaty together. And voila, you've completed the quest. One of the main reasons I recommended this quest is because you get a Ring of Life, which can save you if you're close to death, which comes in handy, you know, if you're a hardcore Iron Man. So there you have it. I just barely scratched the surface of what Old School RuneScape has to offer, especially for members. If this seems like something you're interested in, consider subscribing to Old School RuneScape. I can't express enough how much fun I've had over the past 13 years playing with the friends that I've made along the way. This is truly one of my all-time favorite games, and definitely my all-time favorite MMO. If Old School RuneScape is something you want to try, click the first link in the description to play. Or alternatively, you can download Old School RuneScape for Android or iOS devices. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Mithzan, and I appreciate your existence.